Let's see. I see the man of the hour coming in. What's up, brother?
Hey, what's happening, man? How you doing?
Got to say, man, the beard looks good.
I
Beard looks good. I
didn't feel
like
like
it.
I didn't feel like shaving.
First of all, man, I got to say, seriously, thank you for taking the time. And I'm gonna just have my fanboy moment for just a minute. I said I wasn't gonna have a fanboy moment, but I'm gonna have to. Before I do that, I have to thank Nicole for checking out the channel and just bringing it to your attention, and and then Pam reaching out, Dwayne Cousins reached out to me, so I really appreciate it. My very first concert was the Purple Rain World Tour at the Superdome in New Orleans.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, my dad bought me and my buddy tickets for like 25 bucks. We walked from the house to the Superdome, and I'm in middle school at the time, so it was like anything that anybody could talk about for
Yeah.
weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. So I really appreciate it, man. Um, for those watching the video right now, if you don't know, now you know. This is the Brown Mark, Mark Brown, bassist, probably best known as the bassist for Prince and the Revolution. But in this little chat we're gonna have right now, I really want to talk and let you guys get to know Mark as an artist, as a bassist, as a producer. The man's got his own stuff going on, and so that's what we're gonna talk about. I know I'm excited about BrownMark and the Bad Boys of Paisley too. I've been bumping House Party nonstop since yesterday. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like I said before, I want people to get to know who you are and what you're all about as a player, producer, artist, and all that stuff. I'd be remiss, of course, if I didn't ask a couple of questions about Prince.
Of course, yeah,
All right.
yeah.
So this is what I want to know. I understand that Prince auditioned like 400 some odd cats, right? Before you came along. And there's a misconception that Prince taught you how to play, but you were already tough on your own before that. What do you think it was about Mark Brown that made him say, nah, that's the dude?
Um, I've been asked that question several times. I think what it is he was searching for somebody that he could mold.
Mm,
Because I knew some of the guys that he had auditioned, and I had heard the same thing, that there was like, he went through like 400 bass players. I don't know how true that is, but that's what I heard. And
mm-hmm,
I think he was looking for somebody that he could mold, somebody
mm-hmm,
that he could actually get to a point where they would mold into this thing that he was trying to create. That had the look, had the feel. I mean, because he took me through the whole gamut. I mean, he'd sit me in front of a mirror, you know, almost 8 hours a day, just looking at myself. I mean, who does that?
wow. Wow.
I hated myself after that. I'm like, I knew everything that was wrong.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I get a little weight over here I got to get off. I mean, you're looking at yourself so much. And then even the way I would stand,
Mm-hmm.
he would, no, you got to pivot the foot like this
Oh,
and
wow.
put the shoulder back. I mean, he got into the art of the whole thing,
Gotcha.
this rock star thing, because he wanted me to become kind of like his clone almost.
Wow. Wow.
Um, because that's what the Revolution was, a group of characters. I kind of liken it to the Star Wars series. There were the characters, and that's what makes you remember, Star Wars. It's like, oh, Chewbacca, Chewie, and Yoda.
It's interesting that you say that because I was telling somebody that yesterday, and I think the revolution and everybody that was around in that time um, is more like that Marvel universe, Star Wars universe, a lot more so than the bands that came later on. And
Yeah,
I know, for me as a young bass player, in my opinion, you were just as enigmatic as Prince was. You know what I mean? Never spoke, never heard from the dude. And then people like, Mark Brown, he got the hair and you know what I mean? He's, pretty boy or whatever. And I'm like, nah, you don't understand. This dude is it's tearing stuff up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the way he taught me.
Yeah.
He taught me that, and I was humble enough to, when I went on that journey with him. That's a decision I had to make because I was in the studio myself, working on developing my own career. So he was so many light years ahead of me. I made the decision to take that ride, and I formed Maserati because that was kind of like I lived vicariously through them. That's what I would have become had I gone on my own.
Right.
And I stuck with Prince to take that ride. And so he trained me and he molded me. And then I, in turn, took that and I gave it to Maserati. I started training them and lifting them up. But I think that's why, to answer your question, I became his choice because he followed me around for a while. I knew he was watching. I just was kind of surprised when I was the choice. But yeah, when our first meet, I think he knew right then within, 10, 15 minutes that I was moldable. Yeah. Because I was very, very humble and I didn't talk back. I didn't act like I knew anything. Yeah.
Man, that's actually a really good word. And I have another question towards the end that I want to ask you about that, but I just want to touch that piece right there. I mean, I'm a little older now and I see musicians all the time. Matter of fact, I was doing a Prince tribute and a young guitar player, man, just his vibe and everything that night. And somebody else wound up telling him, man, you blew 100 connections tonight. And he shrugged it off. But I just met this guy, and the gigs that I got afterwards from that, I was like, oh man, humility would have kept this, would have maybe taken this kid to another place. So I think that's a good word for musicians everywhere, young and not so young. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Another thing I want to ask you about is, like, on the recordings, I don't think anybody thinks you got a chance to shine like you did live. I mean, my goodness, man, some of these recordings that are out, especially now, you really get to open up.
Yeah.
How much freedom and flexibility did you have to put together those parts and expand off of what was already on the record?
I mean, on the bottom end, because the way he trained me, he really didn't have to tell me how to do anything because I was already in his head.
Gotcha.
And I already knew where he was going. And so it was everybody else he kind of had to pull and tug. And then when Wendy came on board, he and I both spent a lot of time grooming her because she was new. She was new to the game. And so, we got into, choreography and, just drilling her on a daily basis on how, like he did with me, how to stand, how to look, how to be that performer that everybody's looking at.
How true is it that you had a large hand in the choreography?
I did all the choreography.
Wow.
Yeah, I did it all. And except for Prince would improvise. Now, Prince is going to be Prince. I didn't choreograph him. Sure. But I choreographed the band, and then he would come in and do what we were doing.
Got it.
So, yeah, it's almost like some of these dancers now, these singers nowadays, they have a lot of dancers behind them. Yeah. And they'll break off because they're the singer. But then they come back and they get in the pocket with the dancers. Yeah. And it's kind of what I did with the Revolution because Prince wanted movement on stage. So, yeah, I was 100% responsible for that.
Man, y'all was doing some wild stuff, man. I was even to this day, I'm like, how are they doing all that
and playing
at the same? I mean, and playing like for real playing. Yeah. You know what I mean? So
it's called dedication to the craft.
Yes, sir. Yes,
sir. A lot of these bands nowadays, they get on stage and they learn the music and that's what they're doing. They're mimicking what they learned. We weren't like that. We were improvising every night. Yeah. We had a bass that we followed, a bass show, but man, all he'd do is give me that look.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew. I would say, oh, okay, you want to go there, and then we would take it somewhere. Yeah.
It's there. But speaking of playing live, there's this concept of the Rumble, right? And I've had people ask me about the Rumble. When I was in the Bay Area and kicking it with Levi, times Levi would take my bass out of my hand and be, showing me that. It's an elusive concept for a lot of people, and I was wondering if you could like expand on that for the bass players watching.
It's an ancient brownie secret. Nah, just kidding. It's interesting because I learned how to rumble to stop being fined, because Prince was really strict. You made a mistake, you're gonna pay for it.
Okay.
And that's not in a mean way. It's just how he was. I think he got it from James Brown and a few others that had that kind of mentality. And so I developed that for myself because it prevented me from getting stuck, because Prince would change up on you daily. He'll rearrange the songs. So I developed this style that it really didn't matter. It was almost like holding the floor with the drums. It doesn't matter where you go, long as you know where the pocket is. And so I started to develop a pocket of my own that blended in with the drums, using different rhythmic patterns. For instance, a lot of people rumble with the thumb. They just go up and down, strumming the E string, sort of like, and then kind of just muting the string and rumbling with it. Well, there's a lot more to it than that. I have this right here, That's a little rock and roll. So what I do is I always have the finger pointed out, and then the thumb is rumbling, but these two fingers here are also strumming like a pick. There's my guitar pick right here.
Wow.
This is my direction, and then this is my strum. So it's this effect. And a lot of people can't see what these fingers are doing.
Wow.
Yeah. So when I rumble, it sounds different than other people because it's heavier, it's bigger, because I'm not playing one string, I'm playing all four. I'm rumbling all four strings with a mute and a pattern. And then sometimes I'll slap it, and get back. I'll slap it with a double.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of different techniques to make different sounds. And then once you get used to doing it all the time, it just becomes second nature to you. So no matter what groove, like if we go into a James Brown groove or something, I always knew what to do when he wanted it to get really nasty.
So what you're saying to me right now is two things. Number one, I'm going to be in the shed. Number two, nobody can do the rumble except for BrownMark.
I mean, no one can do it the way I do it. There's only two people that I've ever shown that to. One is Nicole.
Okay.
And the one who, really introduced me to you. And she was in a group that I was producing called Mercedes.
Yes.
The other person is Jerome Woodson, and he was Maserati's bass player.
Wow.
Those are the only two people that knew what I was actually doing. And a lot of bass players through the years have asked me to show them, and I just never did. But I am going to release some YouTube videos where I'm actually breaking it down.
Please do. Let me stop you right there. And I need to say to anybody watching, number one, you need to go to BrownMark's channel. I'm going to put the link in the description below. You need to go sign up, because especially if you haven't seen the America video, that's just stupid. You also need, I'm going to put links to the Bad Boys of Paisley, all that down there, and where you can get BrownMark's current discography as well. So what you're also, I think what you're also saying to me is that at some point down the line, I'm going to get a lesson. Either I'm going to drive to Atlanta or you're going to be here in New Orleans. I think that's what you said, but we could talk about it later. Yeah. While we're on the subject of your sound, right? Did you have any favorite pedals then or now? And I think you just might have gave us a little bit of the secret sauce. But what can you say about pedals?
I don't like them.
Oh, okay. All right.
A lot of people don't, you know, they don't understand that. Prince never understood. He was like, "Oh, you don't have any pedals." You know? He's always trying. Every day I'd come to rehearsal, he'd have a whole bunch of pedals on the floor. I was like, yeah. And I hook them. What I don't like about pedals is they rob the bass. They take all that bottom end out. So I only use pedals that have a balance where I can actually balance the effect with my natural pickup sound. But, you know, the pedals that I chose to use, you know, of course, that, you know, I have my bass idols from the past, like Bootsy and Larry Graham and many others. But Bootsy used a lot of pedals. Larry used pedals. And so I know I need to use some pedals because in playing lead lines and parts, it helped enhance the sound, like in America, you know, that intro. But you'll never hear me play a full song with a pedal.
Gotcha.
It's just not my thing, unless it's like back in the day, I would use a flange pedal.
Okay.
But nowadays, I'll use a pedal when I want to groove. Like if I break down into a groove, I'll use like a Qtron, the micro.
Okay.
Micro Qtron with a any kind of an octave divider. They're all pretty good, you know, as long as it has the balance.
Yeah.
So that when I hit it, you know, if the bottom drops out, I can adjust that so that I can bring the bottom back in.
I was just talking to my boy Daryl Anders over at MXR about, because my preference is the MXR pedals, and and that is one of the really attractive features about those pedals is most of them have a dry control, because once you hit that thing, if it's just all effect, then you done lost the gig. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I love the MXR stuff, you know.
Yeah. What's this I hear about you playing with 4 flats and a round wound string?
Yeah, that's my thing. When I started playing with bright flats, it's because the round wound sound is too bright. A lot of bass players, when they play it, it's got that real bright, glassy tone. See, I'm a rumbler, so that never worked for me. Not that I don't like that tone of bass, because every once in a while I love that sound. My Warwick has that sound, but it's just not my preference. I like the growl, the rumble. So I stick with the jazz bass, and my setup has always been the heaviest that you can get on there. I play with heavies. I don't play with mediums, medium lights. I play with heavies. A lot of bass players grab my bass and they're like, "Ouch, my hands hurt." And
wow. Is your action, you keep your action pretty high or low?
It's right on the fretboard. I keep it very low. And so, you know, you got to have somebody, you know, a tech that's constantly adjusting your stuff, because the heavy strings will bow it. They'll pull. But the way the sound, especially live, the way it cuts through, it's undeniable. Because I don't, you know, anybody that hears me play live, they hear and feel the bass, because it cuts through. Soundmen, they love it. Our sound man, Scotty loves my tone, because at first, you know, he wasn't used to it. And he was like, you know, "Mark, what is this?" And then he wondered why I played through the Gallien-Kruger head, because you know, they always had the line DI that from the head, so I could hear it on stage, but then they would run another feed through the line and send it to the board. And so he was getting just a raw tone from the bass, no amp settings.
Wow.
I didn't like that. I wanted pre-fader. I want pre-EQ. I wanted him to hear
what you're getting.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So the Gallien-Kruger head has one of the best DIs that I've ever heard. So I go into the into the head. He comes out of the DI that's built into the head right to the board. And, you know, he hears exactly what I program it to be.
Yeah, what you want. So you're taking taking more control over your sound out in the house.
Exactly. Yeah. And then the round wound strings with the G string as a round wound and then the E, A, and the D are flat wound.
Mhm.
It just gives me the growl, but the pop on the high end.
Nice.
And
Nice.
pop like, you know.
I saw you guys at the UC Theater in Berkeley, and I hadn't seen the Revolution since '85, right?
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
and I was and I don't, you may not, you probably don't remember this. Of course you don't, because you see people all the time. But Matt had played keys on a record for me, and I was linking up with him, and I called you to call him to come out. But
Ah,
that show, what's up?
I said, okay. I vaguely remember that a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. But what I really dug up about seeing the Revolution, what I thought was like, Prince is not there. I was like, nah, man, this is a band.
Mm-hmm.
This is a band. I mean, wildly talented musicians on their own, and I really enjoyed it, man. I really, really enjoyed it. I want to ask you. You mentioned something about the jazz bass, and I did have a question that I really want to ask, because I've seen you play the Warwick, the jazz basses with the Revolution,
Yeah.
and I think you were playing Olympics during the Purple Rain era. So would you say that the jazz bass is your favorite?
It's my favorite.
That's your favorite?
Yeah. Jazz growls.
What's that?
The jazz bass growls. You know, you can get. They're actually making me one right now. It's gonna be my own little baby.
Are they gonna make a BrownMark signature?
No, they won't do a signature right now.
They tripping.
Yeah, they said it's all about budgeting and all that.
Sure.
But when they do the next signature, I'm definitely gonna be in the meetings, you know.
Yeah.
Because I want a bass called the Growler. That's what I want it to be, the Growler.
Man, that would be awesome.
It describes exactly what I play, and I have always taken my jazz basses and I alter them myself. And I have Ardir. I don't know if you've heard of the Ardir.
Yep,
yeah.
So I think what happened just now, Ardir's sales have gone up just now in this moment, which is all good for them.
They are unbelievable. And then, but now you have Fender's come out with this new Ultra.
Okay.
And that's
it's an onboard preamp?
That's the one they're building for me. It's their Ultra bass.
Okay.
And the preamp on that's pretty sick. So hopefully when I get it, it will be enough so I don't have to go to the Deer.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I want. I want a Fender product. I want all Fender product. And they're building with the black hardware. It's going to be all black and purple.
Bruh, I need to know when it happens. I need to know when that happens. Shoot me an email. I need to know, because I need to know.
I'll send you the sound of it.
Dude, I'm trying to tell you, man, you're probably one of the most underrated cats in the game. I'm not trying to gas you up. I'm just saying, for me,
I hear that a lot.
Man, look, all that stuff back in the day was the soundtrack of my formative years.
Yeah.
Right. And it wasn't just Prince. It was everything associated with that time and that era, Maserati, all that stuff, man. So, but I think when people think of Prince, especially knowing, how he took the bass out of songs like Kiss and When Doves Cry, they don't really think about the role of the bass in his music.
Yeah.
Right. So that's just my thing. Let's talk about influences for a second, if you don't mind. You said Verdine White, Mark Adams, Louis Johnson, Larry Graham. Is that kind of like your Mount Rushmore of bass players?
With the exception of like Bootsy, you got to put Bootsy in there. You got to put Stanley Clarke in there, Jaco Pastorius.
Okay.
Yeah, I was pretty well rounded like that.
Yeah.
Various different styles.
Yeah.
And then I just clumped them all up and created my own. Yeah.
Well, the bass players that came afterwards, I think started bringing I don't know how to call it, like a more like learned or technical or whatever kind of, like before Ronda, we had never really heard fretless bass on any of his music. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that.
Exactly.
But like, for instance, if you take, say, Marcus and any one of the younger guys that's out right now, my ears gravitate towards Marcus because it feels, I want to say this in a certain way that doesn't offend anybody, but it feels real black. You know what I mean? It feels real urban. You know what I mean? It's tribal.
Yeah. You talking about Mark Adams?
What's up?
Talking about Mark Adams?
Mark Adams. I mean, it's and what you do, what you're doing is like when you're talking about the rumble and this percussive sound, it's not just like the bass as one thing.
I know you were talking about Marcus Miller.
Marcus Miller. Yes. Marcus Miller.
Okay. I wasn't sure if you're talking about Mark Adams or Marcus Miller. Yeah, okay.
Well, if you take, Mark Adams too.
Marcus Miller, for the modern sound, he brings a lot of the older school in his style.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it feels like, it's like you're playing Marcus, Mark Adams, Steve Washington from Aura.
Yeah.
It feels like cookouts.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It feels like, cookouts in the shorts with the knee-high socks on. You know what I mean? It just brings me back.
My favorite modern bass player right now, by far, Victor Wooten's on the top of my list. He's one of my favorites. And I love Flea. And I, let me see, there's one more. Victor Wooten, Flea. There's one more. Who is it? I drew a blank. It's when it comes back to me, I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
They're my modern influences, you know, and I like the style. I like their approach to bass because it's so different from everything else that's out there right now, and I'm all in the different. That's just the way I am.
Well, you got a big rock background too.
Yeah.
So I think I heard you say in an interview that like what was Cryptic was like kind of channeling your whole rock side. Yeah.
I mean, I grew up with Aerosmith and Peter Gabriel and Led Zeppelin. I mean, that's just where I come from. Mix that with Sly and Family Stone and Janis Joplin. I mean, that's where I lived.
Yeah.
So when Earth, Wind, and Fire came on the scene, that's when I started listening to more controlled or orchestrated music. Because their stuff was so produced, well produced. And I went to see them live several times, and they took it from the studio to the stage. It was phenomenal. So I have well-rounded background in music. I'm pan-genre. That's what I call myself. Yeah.
I feel it. Look, man, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I got 2 more questions that I really want to make sure I get out.
I'm on lockdown, bro. So it don't matter to me. I'm in prison.
But do you have any? I'm thinking, man. Talking about lockdown, man. Even though we're in the middle of a pandemic and the world is changing, it's getting crazier all the time. Aside from the Bad Boys of Paisley and the Revolution, what do you think you're excited about for the next year, for this year, what's coming up? What are you excited about?
I've been working 10 years on a book. I shouldn't say that. I wrote a book 10 years ago.
Okay.
Never released it. And I was going to release it in 2015 or 2016. But then Prince passed away and everything came to a halt. And so I didn't release it. I pulled it. You know, I had publisher, everything, that was going to sign the book. But, when he died, my path, was a little different direction. But I'm getting back into it now. The book is actually released this month. So it's on the market this month for pre-sale. And it's called My Life in a Purple Kingdom. And I know Barnes and Nobles will have it, and I know for sure Amazon. But anywhere you can buy books, they're going to have it.
Now, is there a link that you can share with me, an email or something for the pre-sale that I can put in the description box?
I can. As soon as I get it, I'll send it.
Cool.
Yeah, it's that new. It's this week that it's happening.
Wow. Okay.
And
Any thought on doing an audiobook as well?
they're going to do that too. They're going to do that as well. And that comes after, though.
Very cool.
But writing, I have a passion for writing now because I have a lot to say.
Yeah.
There's a lot of mystery to why I was silent, why I was so quiet all those years.
Yeah.
Why, you said it yourself, I didn't get my shine. Well, there's a reason for that. And those are the stories that I'm telling. I'm giving my observation of what happened and why. And so they're going to be pretty interesting stories. And the new book that I'm working on is about the recovery, because a lot of things happened in my life that damaged me, and a lot of people don't realize. They just see us as rock stars and, ooh, man, they're doing this and that. They don't see the behind the scenes, the picture. They don't see what's happening, and all the dysfunction. And there's a lot of it. And so my life had a lot of struggles, and it was therapy to talk about it in the first book. The second book is going to be almost, I want to send a message out there that no matter what you're going through, you can recover. Look at me, and that's what it's going to be about. And I want to channel people in a more positive direction with negativity. Yeah. Because you can take a negative and make it positive, but no one's talking about that, especially in the Black community. We're not mentoring our children. We need to stand up and we need to speak out for something and help change the narrative that we see in the communities, because right now you can see where they're going.
Yes, I teach when I'm not on a gig or doing the YouTube stuff. I'm a K through 8 music teacher. And yes, I do know, man. Yeah. I do know, especially here in the South. There's a lot of stuff. It's just a lot of stuff. It's very different than teaching in California, where I started teaching, and we could talk about that for a long time. Another question, and you've said a lot of things, man. The nugget you dropped about humility in the very beginning is absolutely just monumental. And I think I'm going to ask the question anyway, because I have it here. Okay. But I'm going to ask it a different way. I'm going to say, what is another important lesson that you learned from your time with Prince that you would share with aspiring musicians or anybody trying to advance in any field?
It's a lesson I took through life, and it's a powerful lesson that my mother taught me from the time I was young, and that is, for one, to believe in yourself. Don't let anybody tell you you can't do something, because haters will try to put roadblocks in front of you. Your closest friends, the people that you love the most, will hate on you and you won't even know it. So always believe in what you're doing. Don't listen to other people. That was one of the most valuable lessons in my life. The second one was work ethic. Anything you want, you got to work at it. I didn't get into video games. I didn't get into going to the clubs on the weekends and hanging out. I didn't get into the streets. I didn't get into all the stuff that people do. I got into my game, which was music, playing that bass.
Word.
Carried it with me. I built my own amps. I built my own bass guitars. I mean, I got into it. You know, I learned it from the inside out. And then when I got with Prince, my work ethic, along with his work ethic, it just took me to a whole nother level. And, you know, and I say all this to say, those are the biggest lessons. Believe in yourself. Don't let anyone tell you what you cannot do, and then work hard at it. You know, because if you keep working at it, you're going to get a breakthrough at some point. You know, so that's the best advice I can give anybody that's trying to come up right now. Don't let the system break you down. Don't let this weak music system, because it's broken. Don't let it deter you or scare you away from, you know, staying the course, because it will make you want to give up. You know, don't let it do it. Just keep moving forward.
My brother, let me tell you something, man. I just got real talk. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, man.
You're welcome.
For taking the time, for everything that you said, for reaching, you know, I want to thank Nicole again for checking out the channel, Dwayne, Pam, all you guys kind of coming together. A buddy of mine and I were talking earlier about what you just said about the whole, you know, this time everybody, you know, there's like a couple of different camps, you know, people are taking it easy, you know, I'm just going to take it easy. And other people are like, I got to keep moving. The system is changing. The game is changing. We got to adapt and, you know, and figure out how to move it. So, man, thank you so much. I cannot thank you enough. Like, this is.
Hey, you're welcome. You're welcome.
All right with me, man.
I'm glad I got to meet you. I mean, I have to contribute it to a few people.
Yes, sir.
I know Nicole's listening right now. I know she's like, no, don't say it.
No, we gotta put Nicole on blast.
Put her on blast, because I'm gonna tell you, she called me up and she was like, have you ever heard of Ted Bass? I was like, no. She says, you should check him out. And so I checked you out, and then she's like, so you should interview with him. And I was like, well, I don't really do that, you know.
I
boy, she drilled into me. She got me good, and she got me thinking. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do Ted. I said, I'm gonna get a hold of him. I said, you know, she made me feel good about it, you know. So.
Man, like I showed her appreciation. Well, I did a thing, and she like popped up on the live stream, and I was like, I can't remember exactly what she said, but then I was like, oh, okay. And then Dwayne hit me up.
Yeah.
I was like, nah, get out of town. And then I get the email from Pam, like, nah, get out of town. You know, when I moved out to the Bay Area in '94, you know, was always a huge Prince fan, but I had no idea that the Bay Area had such a scene and such a connection there. I think my first month there, I ran into I was in line at a Blockbuster, and Vanity was in front of me. And I was like, I looked, and she turned around. She was like, shh. And my first Thanksgiving in the Bay was with the Escovedos. And then like years later, I would meet Levi through a guy named Prince. And it's just a trip, man. It's just a trip. Then I, you know, got to know Matt a little bit. Matt called me a couple of weeks ago, and I had to pull over because I was driving. And I pulled over in front of my middle school. And I'm just looking at the middle school yard, and I'm like, well, if you could have told 14-year-old me that I would be on the phone with Matt Fink right now.
Yeah.
It'd be crazy. So, but it's just cool, man. It's cool to that all you cats are back to humility.
Yeah.
everybody that I've come into contact is just like, hey man, I'm a regular person, worked hard at what I, what I do, what I love.
Yeah.
I happen to be in the right place at the right time with a dude that was dope at what he did.
Yeah.
And we went out and conquered the world. But
yeah,
but we're all in this life together.
You gotta let it go to your head, or you can keep it real.
Yeah.
I chose to keep it real from a young age.
Yeah.
And it's been beneficial to me.
Yeah.
Because when you let it go to your head and you think that you are now above everyone else and you're looking down at people, you'll pay for that. Yeah. You really will. In the long run.
While you're saying that, and look, I do all of my official questions, I've asked them. If you I don't want to monopolize your time. I know Pam said 30 minutes. I really, really want to be respectful of that. Now, but I do want to ask this one question because I was thinking about like, I'm gonna edit this part out, so don't be telling her I said this. I was watching a video that Lisa put out, and I'm thinking about, again, going back to my younger days and be like, ooh, Lisa. And now it's like she's like Auntie Lisa, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But she put out this dope video on Instagram about I Want to Be Your Lover.
Yeah.
And playing the left-hand parts, and then how Prince said, no, play this way because we already have a bass player. Mm-hmm. I'm curious to know how you guys worked out the space, the sonic landscape with not just one one keyboard player, but two, and a bass player. How did that work out?
It was the magic of the selection. He handpicked each one of us for a quality that we brought to it. Like when I was telling you, he let me have my way on the bottom end. It's because he knew I knew how to space. I knew how to find the holes in the pockets and fill them in and keep the bottom. One thing he always hated, and he told me this about bass players that he had, is he said, I can't stand when the bottom drops out. Well, you don't need to tell me that anymore. You told me it once. I know that is a pet peeve of yours. It's never going to happen. So I just developed a way to always keep it rumbling on the bottom. And Lisa, she was handpicked. She came in with this very different way of hearing and seeing chord progressions. I would play it one way, and she would try this, Mark. And she would play it so differently, and I'm like, whoa. And Prince was blown away by that, the way she voiced her chords. Mm-hmm. Wendy was the exact same thing, because her and Lisa grew up, they were little girls together. They grew up together. And so they hear the same. You look at Wendy, her fingers are like stretched,
Yeah.
She's playing 10-finger chords.
Yeah.
And it's because that's the voicing, the way she hears it. And it was unique to the sound, and it added space.
Yeah.
Matt, of course, he was a synth doctor.
Yeah.
Bobby was not a Billy Cobham. He was a pocket drummer. He just stayed right there.
Yes. Yes.
So we all brought that to the table. We all knew our space. We did not battle with each other. We did not try to overshadow each other. We stayed right where we were supposed to, and we kept it as simple as possible. There's a few bass players that I work with, that I've worked with recently, and they were like, and these are well-known bass players. I'm not going to mention their names, but
okay.
They were like, you got to show me what you're doing on America. Mm-hmm. And I would say, well, play it. And they would play it, and I would say, okay, you're making it too difficult. And they would be like, what do you mean? And I would say, you're adding all this and you're adding all that. I said, let's simplify it. Take that away that way and take that away. Mm-hmm. There's only 3 notes. Let me hear you play those notes. It's more than 3 notes, but it's 4 or 5 notes. But it's bum, boom, boom, bum, 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 boom, boom, bum, bum. That's it. There is nothing else to America. I said, now let's put some percussion on it. See, that's where it stays clean. And I started to show them how to listen to the drummer and then put the percussion. So it's boom, 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 and then that percussion stays right there. That's part of the drummer now. That's part of the drums, along with the simple bass line. But then when you hear it, it sounds like, you know, whoa, what the heck is he doing? It sounds like I'm doing all this stuff. No, it's the simplest thing in the world.
But that's what I was trying to say earlier about about when you have this percussive element of the bass, it's almost like a tuned drum, and then you add that with the drum, and then you've got this big drum. That's what makes it feel so tribal to me. And I think that's one of the things that attracted me to bass was going to a concert and just feeling it from your feet all the way up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There was something else. When you were talking about playing it wrong. So when I was hanging with Levi, I would come in. I was like, oh yeah, you know, just thinking this in my head. Yeah, I know that Prince stuff. I could do this, you know. Yeah. And then I get in there. I'm like, you don't know none of this stuff. You don't know any of this stuff. That's why, like, on my channel, I try to present things in such a way where it's like, look, this is my interpretation of it. I wasn't there. I'm not the guy. And if I sat down with whoever the guy is, they probably gonna say, nah, that's not really it. You close, but you know, whatever.
What cracks me up is when bass players try to tell me how to play Let's Work.
Okay, let's talk about Let's Work for a second.
I'm like, come on, guys. I was there from the beginning. I play it the correct way.
Yeah.
The other way that you hear is not the correct way.
Yeah. Now that is you on the recording, correct?
No, that's Prince.
That's Prince on the recording.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the heaviest Prince bass lines that's out that everybody goes to. For me, it's America, of course. America's it's the attitude of America.
Exactly.
It's the attitude of the song. It's not the, you know, I was never really attracted to bass players that were super, super flashy. I was like, how does the bass tell the story of the song? How does it support the artist? But it's the attitude of America. But like Uptown and Let's Work are probably two of my absolute favorites. Oh, yeah. But when I'd done like a couple of tutorials, I use air quotes there, on Let's Work, and then you came out with the video, and I was like, oh dang, I think I've been doing this wrong.
Mm-hmm.
The whole time. But I also think there's a beauty in listening to a record, trying to pick it up, and then playing it wrong for so long, you know, whatever wrong is, right? Because then you start to develop your own language out of that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the key right there. Develop your own language. But when when you're in a Prince tribute band or you're trying to represent something like the proper way to play Let's Work, well, I would rather you say, not you, but I would rather a person say, here's my rendition. Like, I like the way you said my interpretation of of a song. But you have a lot of bass players out there that say, no, this is how to do it. I mean, I've read the comments on some of these sites, and I've been told that I'm playing it wrong.
Right.
I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever.
That's funny. I played with Zigaboo Modalise from the Meters for a long time, and I remember going to a jam, and this guy like stuck his chest out, and he was like, "You know Sissy Strut?" And I was like, "I think I know it." Mm-hmm. Not telling him like, "Yeah, I kind of played with the guy who wrote the song." So, but once again, back to humility. I do want to ask you. And we're almost at 2:00, so I really, really want to be respectful of your time.
Hey, cool.
I'm watching the America video, and your touch seems to be so light in that video. Now, do you attribute that to the heavy strings?
I contribute that to technique, you know, and that's one of the things I'm going to show when I start doing my video. I'm going to get more into the theory of playing rather than the technical aspect, because, you know, my approach to playing bass is very unorthodox. It's very different, you know, even the way I point. But it's very aggressive. If you and me had both of our amps next to each other and we started in on the same thing, I'm going to be a lot more aggressive than you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's simply because of my approach, you know, and I learned how to do that though. It didn't just come out of nowhere. I mean, I actually had to learn how to do that and be that way, because Prince would always challenge people. We would go into clubs and there would be a fascinating band playing, and we would go up on stage and murder it. We would mutilate the stage. We were so aggressive. I mean, when we
like a little gang or something.
Yeah, we were a little gang. You know, we was marking our territory. I mean, I'm talking, I would roll the woofer out of his bass amp. I'd break all his strings. Bobby would leave. The kick drum would have a hole in it. The snare would have a hole in it. I mean, we were that aggressive.
Heathens.
Yeah.
Heathens.
And it's because a lot of people's approach to music is so different from ours.
Yeah.
And I attribute that to Prince, because, man, that was one bad cat. I mean, he's aggressive.
Yeah.
The way, I don't know if you've ever just really sat down and listened to him play guitar. He's very aggressive.
Yeah.
And so we all became that way. And so it looks effortless, but it's really powerful if you were right there. If you were standing there actually listening to it, it's very aggressive.
Yeah.
So, and that's why I said even these fingers under here are doing a lot more than you can see. That adds a lot more to what you're hearing.
Man, I would have never guessed, ever guessed, because what you were describing earlier about the thumb on the E string.
Yeah. And I play with this thumb. See, a lot of people don't know that I play with this thumb. This thumb is just another finger.
On the neck?
On the neck, yeah. Yeah, I play with this thumb and these three fingers, right? Or these.
Well, wait a minute. Are you talking about fretting? Fretting with it?
I fret with the thumb, and I slap with it, the thumb up on the neck. That's how I play. It's how I taught myself to play. I mean, and I'll go up and down. If you ever look at me play, my thumb is wrapped around the E string. That's just how I play. And so there's a lot of it's the little tiny things that you don't hear, but you feel them. Yeah. And to me, that's what a lot of bass players are trying to figure out when they ask me. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to release videos showing what I actually do, and I'm going to break it down to a science.
Please do. Please do.
We'll do it again.
I would love to, man. I would love to. Please put out those videos, and whatever I can do, whatever I can personally do to assist BrownMark and the whole BrownMark Nation. Yeah. Don't hesitate to call on me at all.
Absolutely. I mean, I appreciate that.
I really, really appreciate your time, brother. You go have the best of days. Stay safe and keep your hands washed, dude.
I don't leave the house there. I don't need to worry about it. I'm a hermit. I got my ankle bracelets on.
I understand it. I feel it. Brother, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah, right on, man.
We'll talk soon. Okay.
All right. Take it easy.
Bye-bye.